Hey guys, we have a lot of stuff this week as we do every week.
Yeah.
But I think one of the most interesting things that we did a piece this week that really was about a new brokerage agency, real estate brokerage that came to Manchester, but they came back last spring. I want to say late in the spring. It's Gibson Sotheby's. They moved into town. They had never been here, and it was a new brokerage firm. So we never did anything to say, oh, new town, welcome to the town. But what we did this week is we used that as an excuse to really look back at 2020. We really did the hook that what is it like to open up in a pandemic, I guess. But when they came, nobody knew what was going on. And I think almost a year ago, we talked about real estate because we did a summary of what was happening in real estate last April. And we were really surprised to see the statistics month over month from 2019 to 2020 had actually popped up in April, and it was beginning the demographic in the pandemic. And we all talked about saying, what is going on? Mm-hmm. Right? Okay. So we did a look back at 2020 versus 2019 because of this whole story. And I'm going to actually ask you guys a question. What do you think happened with real estate it's all of Cape Ann, but for my purposes, it was Manchester and Essex, right? What do you think happened? Corey, Heather, what do you think?
I think everyone living in Lexington moved to Cape Ann because the virus was so bad there. That's my feeling. I know people who had been trying to sell houses for a long time, and they were not inexpensive homes.
Yeah. Once people realized they didn't have to work in the city anymore, mm-hmm. and they could go to a place that has a great school system and be closer to the water, maybe have some acreage, it seemed like people were just bidding on houses sight unseen. There were huge bidding wars way above asking prices, and no inventory. And then the other side, like commercial real estate, it just seemed like.
Okay, you're dead on. You guys are all touching on things that happened. It was really interesting to see what impressions people had versus the numbers and what drove them. Number one, absolutely, anybody who sort of said their forever home, forever became right now. So that definitely happened. And this idea of this frothy environment was really there, combined with a runaway horse. That's what I said. It was like a runaway horse. Okay, so here's what happened. You're absolutely right. First of all, prices went up. I found out that you can look at prices from average or from median. The difference between median and average is that median gets rid of all the wildly extreme factors when you're doing numbers. So really, really high and really, really low, gets rid of those and then looks at sort of what's called the inner quartile mean. That doesn't mean anything to you, but the bulk center, right? We had to do median for a couple reasons. Number one, the average median price in Manchester for a single family home in 2019 was $799. $799,000. Mm-hmm. A year later, last year, it was almost $1 million. It was $970,000. In Essex, it was exactly the same. A median single family house in $599 in 2019, and it was $699 in 2020. So prices went up.
And I remember, Erika, you saying, I think there were only, at one point in Essex last year, there were 6 properties for sale, and that was it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Ida Doan from Jay Barrett, I talked to her. She's like Essex is real horror. I'm sure she sells plenty of other things, mm-hmm. but Essex is really her sweet spot. And she said there was only one house under $400,000. Yeah. Remember? And there was very little. So inventory was the big problem, which is what you said. The average, though, instead of the median, was much bigger. You know why? Because in 2020, there was a house in Manchester on Summer Street. I know exactly where it is. $20 million.
Oh.
It sold for $20 million. Did not asking. It's what it closed at. And in Essex, they had a similar high water mark, which is 1.5 million for a house on Eastern Avenue. So there was this pent up demands part, and everyone said inventory is the big issue, which is what you said, Corey. And so it was kind of fascinating to see that we went through a pandemic. There was this stark exhibit of the haves and the have-nots. There was there was an extreme homing that happened. Everyone going home with their families because they're working and all this other stuff. I had one real estate agent who said to me, look at your home now. Your home is your work, your workout, your gym, your restaurant, your therapy sessions, and your telemedicine port.
Well, and that's the other thing too happening with a lot of construction was now people, they wanted a home office in
Yes.
every place really, because you had to have home office space now.
Well, you have to have an away space away from, you know, the kids can
The
be.
kids doing school,
And we
right?
love
Kids
them.
studying at home, and oh my God.
Yeah. So
Property near me that I walk on regularly, and it just sold. It's a large piece of land. And I bumped into the new owner, and he said, we moved here for the oxygen. It's just so great, the oxygen. And I thought, yep. You know, and he's coming here from Boston.
well, it's funny. My father, he's no longer alive. You wouldn't know it. I'm 54. I'm from New York. That's what's appropriate for me to tell people. But anyway, my father would come up to visit in Manchester, and he would always say the same thing. It was similar to like the oxygen, but he said it a little different way. He used to stop and say, "Do you hear that quiet? You hear the quiet?" And I'd say, "Yeah." And I go, "What are you talking about?" He'd go, "Exactly." So it's the same kind of thing. So that's definitely happened. And then one other thing I thought was kind of interesting. I'm going to watch this. The CEO of the company that's coming in. So this is a regional group that's out of Boston, and this is Cape Ann. They're big in Cape Cod. So this is sort of their footprint now. And she said that Cape Ann is very much a strategic place for them, that people want to be here. Now, it's funny, Corey, you don't like to say Cape Ann per se. You don't think people think in terms of Cape Ann, but I think people who are looking at Cape Ann, maybe from the outside, they think of it as Cape Ann.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, I think the more people go to Cape Cod, and then when you go to Cape Ann, you're like, oh, wait a second.
Yeah. And I think it's easy for people to say that as a region, but in any case, this whole area is very attractive. It's on the way up. So
It's a true destination place now, all 4 communities.
yes, for sure. For sure. So that was a really interesting piece, and it was really interesting to see the numbers.
So Erika, what's this about spring sports now? We're underway?
Oh yeah, Jason, our guy Jason Brisbois, he did a great summary piece on the new sort of spring. And what's interesting is the coaches are all, you can feel the enthusiasm of the fact that there's a virus. I mean, the vaccine is coming in and the weather's turning, and it just feels a little more buoyant in terms of their attitude. But we have track, we have, cheerleading, we have like all the regular things, including sailing. Sailing is going to be back, which for us is actually quite a big sport. Tony Leggett is the coach for that. And then we also have the outlier, football.
Right.
The truncated, the continuation of fall, which was cut short. And so they're going to have their shortened season. I think it's only a 6-week season, but it kicks off, and they were having practice this past week. So it's all going to be good. It all starts this week.
So there will be football games to attend.
There will be. There won't be many, and we will publish them. We'll publish them when they come out. I think I'm not even going to commit to the number, but I do know it's a truncated season, that it's only 6 weeks. We'll have plenty of pictures because we have 2 great photographers for sports, but I will say it doesn't feel strange to the players. They're so happy to be back playing again. Yeah. It wouldn't have, especially the seniors. Think about the seniors, right?
Right. Yeah, good for them.
Yeah.
Erika, do you want to touch upon Wednesday's special meeting?
Oh yeah, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. It's now here. Essex has raised the flag and said, the town of Essex, and said, we really want to take a look at the budgeting and the financing of, and how the operations of the Manchester-Essex Regional School District works. It's budgeting season for them. And remember, I told you I have a 2-year horizon to see if they can work within a Proposition 2.5 world. So they did reach out to Manchester. Manchester has responded. And this week on Wednesday night, there will be a double meeting, double BOS, Manchester and Essex, double FinCom, Essex and Manchester. They're coming together to talk about the school district. What's nice though is it doesn't feel like it's controversial or heated. It feels like it's going to be a proper conversation about what is realistic and sustainable over time. So there you have it.
Great stuff as always, Erica. Get the cricket, folks. We'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.